All right, so the Sketch UI is intentionally very simple, very clean. If you're used to using other products like Adobe Illustrator and such, it may kind of drive you crazy a little bit at first, just because you're looking for things like all the selection tools and things, but you don't actually need them here because of the way the UI is built. So I just have a blank page up here. You always start with one page, and then of course as soon as you start adding objects, then you start adding to your layers, and those are just objects in your layers. To begin with, I need to have an artboard. I love the keyboard shortcuts. I could come in and just go to Insert and say Artboard right from here, but the shortcuts that they have in Sketch are so intuitive. I can just press A, and then you'll notice that over to the right, everything is dynamically presented. So it knows I'm creating an artboard, and it says, what kind of artboard do you want? I can choose Apple devices or Android, or, oh, are you right? But you can choose the device you want. Maybe I just want to choose that I'm doing an iPhone 8, and instantly an artboard appears. And of course, that's where all my artwork is going to go. The other great thing is you can move so fast. I want to name the artboard appropriately. If I press Command R, I can call this Home. So again, I just pressed A, artboard. Command R, name it. Command R stands for rename. But as soon as I want to put an object in, again, that insert menu can be used for all your stuff. You know, you can insert pretty much anything in here. But I just want a button. I can just press R, and that gives me rectangle. So again, just O, oval. You know, a lot of these things are really intuitive and very fast. You can create all the artwork that you need. You've got all the vector controls in here to make the things you need. But you can also import things from Illustrator. You can drag and drop things from Illustrator. Let me just go over a couple more things with the workspace, and then I'll start kind of integrating some of this stuff together. But you'll notice, well, first of all, how many of you use Adobe Illustrator? Maybe, okay, great. So you know you have the solid selection tool and then the hollow one. Like, where is that here? You just get to it by double-clicking on objects, and that turns you from having the solid selection to the hollow, and now you'll see that I can select just an individual point. You'll also notice that my properties change, because now I can change the curve of just that one button. So by double-clicking gives you the ability to come in and edit like you would with the hollow direct selection tool in Illustrator. So again, you can create all the vector stuff that you want. As soon as I click off, notice my properties change again. So if you're looking for a property and you're not seeing it, like you're working on text and you don't see the text property, it's probably because you don't have any type selected. So it is, again, very intuitive. It doesn't throw a whole bunch of menu items at you at once so you get confused. They're all pretty easy to find. If I wanted to put type, what key do you think I'd press if I want to put a name in the button or something? T, right. So if I press T and click, this is my text. And then you'll notice that I have all the properties over here for type, you know, alignment, all that sort of stuff. So the other great thing about Sketch that I'm going to show as I'm building stuff here is that you can save object styles, you can save type styles, you can save symbols, you can save things between documents, you can import things from other documents, you can build entire style libraries and reuse components and buttons over and over again. So when you're working in Sketch, initially you might be building and making things from scratch, but as you work, you're going to be collecting things and reusing them a lot, and that's going to help you to establish like your design patterns and things that you use on a pretty regular basis. So moving on, a lot of you guys are Illustrator users. You can create in here just like you would in Illustrator, but sometimes Illustrator is just better, you know, for some things, and especially if you're importing artwork that's already been created. So if I have Illustrator open, and let's say that I was creating something like this, I have a couple options for bringing this artwork into Sketch. One is I can simply take it and say, I want to use you in Sketch, and now it comes in. That was just a drag and drop. But if I double click on it, it's totally editable, okay? It maintains the vector capabilities in it, which is really nice. The other option you have is that you did this and you want to play around with existing artboards and such. If you choose to save this, you have a couple choices that Sketch will recognize. One is EPS, and if you say use artboards, they will export each artboard separately so that you can open them up and create these again in Sketch, or the other option is SVG. And that will also allow you to take those artboards and bring them in. So you've got lots of choices. If you prefer to work in Illustrator, but then you want to show how your links work in Illustrator, and then just drop your stuff in. Makes it pretty simple. And then you can take advantage of other items in here as well. So I'm just going to build something incredibly simple. And so maybe I'll even just start with what is here. I said this is my home button, and let me go ahead and just cover a couple other things. I'm going to keep this document here, and I'm going to create a new blank one with a new artboard. So I'm pressing A, I'm selecting an artboard size, just so I can cover some simple things before I get into more details. If I'm working on my artboard and I press R, of course that gives me my rectangle, and maybe I want all corners around it, so I just come over here and round these. Notice, of course, that it shows me rectangle over here. If it's selected, not only can I use Command R for the artboard, I can press Command R and call this button. So I can rename everything really quickly and easily. If I press T and I want to put the word submit in here, I can select all of this, and if I press Command Option down, 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 or minus, 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 Command Option minus, 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 I can visually change the size. How these menus work over here, though, if you're not into keyboard shortcuts, you can just take the size of your text, and then you can just drag the word size. So if you notice, if I just click and drag across the menu item, it lets me change the size kind of quickly as well. So I want to change the text. Let me go ahead and I'll give this a little, actually I'll leave it there, that's fine. But I want to change the color. And I'm going to go into these things in a little bit more detail later. I'm just going to do something really fast here and go ahead and take this guy and put him up here. But you'll notice that, of course, these objects are naming themselves, which makes sense. And if I take both of these items and I click on one and I shift click on the other, same exact thing you're probably used to using, and then I press Command G, they group, and then I press Command R and I call it Submit Button. So the point I want to get at before I go into, well, I should probably not put that space there. The point I want to go into before I go too far is that Layers panel is how you handle all your objects. That's how you see if they're grouped. That's how you see the order they're in. You can, of course, just like Layers in Photoshop and Illustrator, drag things up and down. It's totally similar to what you are more than likely used to using. Let me put this guy back in. Okay. But what you can also do, here I'm changing the order of that, is you can also hide and show. So I can say, can you hide that? Can you show it? If I hold down my Option key, it turns into a lock. So I can also lock items there too. And again, why some people have an issue working in Sketch is because they don't have a lot of these menu items sitting out there right in front of you. A lot of the times you just have to intuitively learn them, know that holding down your Option key is going to lock that or whatever. So the Layers panel is going to help you to be familiar with everything that is going on. I'm going to go ahead and close this document and go back to where I was. And you'll start to see that, how this stuff came in. You can see all the items. I'm going to just right click on this and I'm going to say, can you ungroup these? Okay, so it looks like a total nightmare over there, but I can just select the items out here, Command R, and then Command G, sorry, and then Command R, and call it drinks. And so you can organize your stuff really quickly and easily. Command G, Command R, gear, And then I'm going to do one more, select all these, Command G, Command R, fruit. So now I went from nightmare to, some really easy things to control. I'm going to go ahead and make these into buttons, and I am a designer, but do not look at this as far as like me creating a great design, because I'm just doing really quick, easy things so that we can go through some of the other options that are available. And you'll notice that I have smart guides open here. If I go to layer and I go to the, actually I'm going to go, yeah, I'll leave this as it is for right now. Let me come back to that. But I've got my smart guides on that are kind of telling me where things are. If you don't see your smart guides, you can turn them on in your preferences, but they should be on as a default. They even show when things are aligned together, but you'll also see that if you're familiar with Illustrator, you've got align and distribute all at the top here too. So depending upon what you have selected, you can align and distribute items as well. But I'm going to make a really simple button here. In fact, here's a little funny thing that happens. Just note this. Sometimes, like unlike Illustrator, if you don't have something, like if that's just touching that there, sometimes you don't even see your items. So that's another reason you want to pay attention to your layers, because you'll see the items here, but you may not see them over there. So they just disappear unless they're totally off or on. They kind of hang halfway. Okay, so I'm going to make a button here. I'm just doing rectangle, and then I'm going to put this rectangle underneath all these items, and I'm going to change the color. And I have a couple choices here. I can just choose a solid color. I can put a hex color in. I can do a gradient if I want, and if you're used to using Illustrator, you can choose that you want it to go from one color to another. You can even, I just covered a whole session on why you want to fiercely reduce unnecessary design elements. So maybe not do this, but you can, if you want, create crazy gradients, just like you can in Illustrator. Or radial gradients, all sorts of things, even fill with patterns and such. I'm going to go back to a solid, and I'm in fact going to give it a little bit more pleasing color, and maybe just round the corners just a bit. So I've got this, and in fact, I want to show you something. I'm going to get rid of these and just place a picture in here. I'm going to insert an image, and unfortunately there's no keyboard shortcut for that. I can use the insert menu or the little plus sign up in the top, but I'm going to take just a PNG image here because I want to show something with the symbols. So maybe I'll put in that I want to put the fruit here. This is a PNG. So that's why it supports the transparency. If you have something that's not transparent, if I insert a picture, and I happen to be lucky that this was, but if I did put a picture in, and let's see, if I go to, I'm going to go grab something that is not go to my desktop and grab something that's not transparent. So like this person. You'll notice that going back to what I was saying before, click is like your selection tool. Look at the properties over to the right, just normal properties. Double click. Now I've got properties that allow me to crop the picture, but also make a selection. So I can use the magic wand and select this stuff, and then I can just press the delete key and get rid of backgrounds and stuff. So obviously it is not going to be the same as Photoshop. If you have Photoshop, you want to use Photoshop, but you do have some capabilities of getting rid of backgrounds in here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of her and go back to this picture, and I'm going to put some text in. So I press T, and I'll type in here that this is fruit, and I'll change the color. In Sketch, you have the same thing that you have in a lot of other applications. You have your fill, that you can change, and I'm going to go ahead. I think I made this white, so let me give this a little bit of a color so we can see it. And then I'm just going to click off and then drag it up here. I want to use this button many times, and so of course I can save it as a symbol. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just take the whole thing and I'm going to group it. I'm going to call it my button. And then, oops, I don't think I did that. Group it, Command R, my button. Good. And then I'm just going to either click up here where it says create a symbol, or I can right click on it and I can create a symbol. But when I do that, it asks me if I want to put it on a separate page. So basically you'll see over in the layers panel, a page will create that's called symbol. By the way, when I first started working in here, what really confused me was page and then layers. You can have as many pages as you want. And the only reason you have pages is for organization. From what I've been told, if you have more than 15 artboards on a page, it sometimes crashes. So if you're creating a massive site and you want to keep things organized, you might have different branches on different pages. And how you get a different page is you just go up to where page is and you click the plus sign that's going to be to the right of it when that's selected. And you can copy and paste things from pages, really easy. Drag things from Illustrator onto them, all that sort of stuff. But what I want you to notice is that when I say create new symbol, I'm leaving it that generic name. I'm leaving it with that check mark that says send symbol to symbols page. And it creates a new page that is called symbols. And so now it'll automatically keep everything on that page for me. So now next time I need this, I can just go under insert and you'll see that I can find all my symbols and there's my button and I can bring it down again. Now the smart thing about this is that, let me move these guys. In fact, I won't need that one anymore because I got fruit. The smart thing about this is look at my properties panel. It notices that I have a picture and it also notices that I have text. And so I can change the text and I can call this drinks, and then I can actually choose another image. So if I come out of here, let me go into Peach Images and see if I can find a drink. We'll do straws. Oh, blue bottle. There we go. But it will allow me to come in here, and I just double clicked it. And the reason I did that is because I want to pull this down a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to return to the instance. But it'll allow me to put my own text in, put my own images in, but yet they're still working as a symbol. And in fact, if I double click on it, I could say, you know, that color's really not working. I'm going to come in here to the rectangle. I need to make it maybe just a little bit more orange, and then return to the instance, and then it finds all the other symbols. So it's super fast. It's super quick. You can save all those things that you're doing all the time there. And the other benefit is you can just keep adding them. Like, for instance, maybe I want a nav bar across the top or something. I can come in here. I'm pressing R for rectangle. And maybe I always want this bar. I'll do something really fast up here at the top. And take that and say, you're also a symbol. You're my nav bar. I don't have any text in it. I just wanted to show you that as I create these, they're automatically being added to that symbols page. Now the cool thing is I'm working on lots of different projects, and maybe I want to share those symbols between projects. If I save this file, and so I'm going to call it my app, and I'm going to go ahead and just save this out. Put it right here. Okay, and I'm creating a new, let me just go ahead and even close that. I'm creating a new file. I can go into my sketch preferences, and I can click on libraries, and I have all these libraries already loaded, but I can say, can you add one? And the one that I want you to add is that one that I just created called My App. And when I do that, my symbols are available now in this document or any document that I open. So if I come out here now and I just create a new document, you'll notice that if I create my artboard, and I'll just click, take this one, and I go to insert and I say, I want to insert something. Do you see how all my files that I have set up as libraries appear? And then all the symbols that are on there. So I can access this stuff. In other words, you can keep one file and keep editing it and adding all your components and things to it so that you can use it throughout all your applications. I don't create a lot of my applications. You'll notice, or my components, because you can also go in here and say File, New from Template, and you can open up things like iOS. And if you notice, it has like templates that you can save out, but you can actually take some of these items and use them in your work. You can even take something that somebody's done in Illustrator and quickly turn it into a library item. So if I think I have a file open here. This was actually a EPS of all these files, or these images that were saved out of Illustrator. You can see them all over here. They came in as groups. I can rename them if I want. And here, I'll just do one. I'll just take like this one, which is the, I already did that one. Okay, purple surfboard. So I'll just press Command R, purple surfboard. And then if I save this, and I'll just save it, it's called beach art. Even though it started as an Illustrator file, really easy. Come in here, check my preferences, go into libraries, say add the library, and just take that file called beach art. And so I think I actually put that in here. And I don't know where I saved it, but I think you got the idea that you just work on a file and then you go ahead and save it. And I probably saved it like without paying attention. We'll see if it's in here. Darn it. Okay, I'll take another one. Anyway, I just took one called Style Exercise, and now you'll see that when I come in to insert anything, Style Exercise will also be style text also in there. Okay, so that's saving symbols. And why I'm doing this is because I want to go ahead and create a really quick navigation and go into some other things as well. Like, for instance, not only can you save all your artwork as symbols, you can also go in. I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to unlink it from the library just because I don't want this to be a symbol for right now. Whoops, wait. I want to say, go back. I'm going to make sure I tell it. Here, I'll just do it this way. I'm going to detach it by right-clicking it. But I want to go into the text here because I want to explain other things that you can save. If I like this type style, you'll notice that in my properties I can change it to whatever I want. But I can also create a new type style, and then I can call it my button style. And just like you can save type styles and such in the Adobe apps, now if I want to quickly get to that type style, so if I take this and I'll just change this text. By the way, that was, I just option dragged that, which is something that you can do in Illustrator as well. But you'll notice that I can quickly say, can you go to be this type style? Come on, resync. Oh, looks like it's having a font issue. All right. Hello. Okay, we've got, oh, there it goes. All right, so here, in fact, we'll change the other one to that by using the little, if you noticed, I can say, this is, actually I want to use this typeface right here. Let me do something that looks a little bit more drastic there. And what it's supposed to do, after it kind of catches up, there. Okay, now you can see it. It gives a little icon saying you want to sync it with the other ones, yes, and it finds all the other instances and applies them. This gives me an opportunity to talk about plugins because this is a relatively new software program. There are going to be things that you're used to doing in your graphic arts programs that you do not have in Sketch. But there are a gazillion plugins that you can take advantage of. I maybe want to use that type style someplace else, can't. Like, even if I save this as a library, the library will not recognize that type style. But if I go to plugins, and I'll go to manage plugins, I have a bunch of plugins I intentionally turned off because I want you to see the software without it. But if you're like, geez, I wish I could share software, textiles, if you go to get plugins, it brings you to this great page with the search, and then you can just pick and download, typically for free, plugins that will add the functionality that you need. So the one that I have for sharing textiles, for instance, you can see I have a whole bunch in here. One is Sketch Measure for measuring things. I have one called Shared Textiles that I can just say, can you turn that one on? And what that allows me to do is you'll see that under Plugins, Shared Textiles, I can export my textiles and name them, and then go to another document and import them and bring them in. So you have to do the export and import in order to do it. But tons of great things that you can do with plugins makes it almost unending, the opportunities that you can take advantage of. So I'm going to take this guy here, and he's no longer symbol, so I'm just going to double click on this and put gear, and we'll do one more, and this one is drinks. And I'll just, like I said, create a simple prototype. So I've got this in here, and I want to create another artboard. I can do that several ways. It's easiest to click on the name in order to select artboards in Sketch. You can see what's going on over here. You can see all my items in here. If I were smart, I would go in and rename these, something that's more specific, like fruit and gear and drinks. That's an organizational thing that you should not forget. But I'm also going to take this and hold down my Option key and clone the entire artboard. So that Option drag works with not only elements, but also works with items as well. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this and this, and we're going to pretend that I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this, or I can just take these items and pull them out of here. But I'm going to just take and pull this out, get rid of this, and pretend this is a fruit page. And just like Illustrator, if you noticed what I just did there, that resizing, I grabbed a corner, and if I hold my Option and Shift key, it pulls it from the center. So if you don't want it to pull from the left or right, you can set that up as well. All right, so next I'm going to do another artboard, and on this one I'm going to call this gear, and oops, I'm going to take this guy and maybe just insert a picture. In fact, let me go over here and just find my beach art, and I'll take this. And of course I'm going to copy and paste it. That's my gear page. And then I'm going to do one more, so I'm Option dragging, getting this. And on this one, we'll just call this drinks. And I'll take this guy, get rid of it, go back to my beach art and find a drink. Okay. All right, so I've got multiple pages here now, and maybe I need a back button or something, and maybe I'll do that as a symbol. I'll just go ahead and make a button. And again, this is going to look ugly, but I'm sorry, just want to do it quickly. Text, back, and we'll make it this color. And I'm going to take this then, and because I'm going to use it a lot, I'm going to go ahead and group it. I'm going to press Command R. It's called back. I'm going to go up here and say create a symbol by clicking up on the top, and I'll just call it my back button, and ready to go. So now all I need to do, and this is why you want to name your artboards, to create the links. It just makes a lot more sense to have named artboards so you can navigate to them really quickly. So I have this artboard selected. I'm pressing Command R and I'm calling it Fruit Artboard. And then I am clicking on this next one. I'm pressing Command R and calling it Gear Artboard. And then I'm clicking on this last one and I'm going to call it Drinks. So Command R, Drinks. And now, in order to make this all work, you'll notice that up at the top I have a little link button. And so if I have something selected, I can click on link. Thing is, this thing gets crazy. Like you can just say, all right, I want Fruit to link to this. But a lot of times you might have like 16 different artboards and it's going all over the place and it's hard to find it. So it may be easier just to use the Properties panel. And you'll notice that when I'm in the Properties panel, there's a little button here that says Prototyping, Target, and then I can find, oh, when they click on Fruit, page 1, they're going to the Fruit artboard. So by choosing it from a drop-down menu, it makes it a lot easier. Now obviously here in this case, I can just say link and then take it right to Gear. It's a little faster if you're only doing 3 of them. And then I'll go here. By the way, the cool thing is, like this is just one menu. So if I come in here and I say, I also want you to link and I want you to go back, I can come in here and I can say, all right, I want you to go back, but I can also say previous artboard. So if I don't know where they came from, I don't have to know, okay? And the other cool thing is, if I make this a symbol and I double click on it, I can even go to link here and say go to previous artboard, and now it'll do it on every screen. See, like, so if you create a nav bar across the top and it says Fruit, Gear, Drinks, and then you want to set up the links, you've already done 50 artboards, you can create the symbol and do the links here all at once. Okay, and then all 50 artboards will have the linkable nav bar. Does that make sense? I just find that really, as far as production, really fast. You can change those. So that one automatically, when I go back out, these are already set to, you'll see that they're already set to go to previous artboard. So if I want to test this, all I have to do is go up to preview. So I make sure I'm on my first artboard so that it previews from there. And so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go up to preview. I'm going to say that's my home. You can see I put a little flag on it so I remember. But these actually work. So if I click on these, I have a working artboard. Now you'll see that the animation, you know, it's defaulted to just like a little slide. But if I come back here and I go back up to link, so if I click on this guy again, you'll notice that you have a choice of animation. Like in this case, I just have it doing the slide to right, but I can have no animation or slide to the left, come in from the right, come in from the bottom, top, left, whatever you want, you can choose. But you can set up the type of animation that you want to occur. The other really cool thing is if you have an iPhone, there is a program, and I probably won't get it to work here because I haven't set this up on the wireless, but have any of you guys used Mirror, Sketch Mirror? You can actually see, yeah, it's not going to let me see it, but you can see your app on your phone too, which is really cool. You can even send it to the cloud using Sketch Cloud and share it with other people. So I think I'm not going to be able to, even though I'm on the wireless, I'm finding like some things aren't allowing me to go through. But just to give you an idea of what you would do if you upload it to the cloud, it would bring up a preview that's clickable, and it will allow people to edit and comment and leave. It's a shareable document. So if you're using Envision now for simply collaborating with other people, you don't need to necessarily use that. Okay, Envision still offers some really great things, but if you wanted to get away with that without subscribing to it, or if you're the type of person who's using 3 InVision prototypes over and over and over again because you don't want to pay, you can just use the cloud option here to collaborate with other people as well. So it's pretty cool stuff. Now, let me take you a little bit further. I think I've got just a few more minutes, maybe 10 or 15. But the other thing I want to explain is that it does work responsively as well. It gives you some options for fixing things. So like for instance, if I wanted to put a circle in here, so I'm going to say oval, so I'm pressing O. I'm going to put this up here. And if I want to change the size of this artboard, notice that, you know, there's really no response to that. But you'll see that over to the left, you can have choices, like can you fix it to the top right? And now when I click on this, see now it's fixed to there. And the other thing I can say is, you're up there, but I also want you to fix your width and your height. So now, if I'm designing and I want to try different things, see how now it stays the same. So it's got some really cool fixing things. So if you've got menus in there or icons that you want to stay flush to the bottom or to the top, gives you the opportunity to fix them in different positions. What I have found, if you're interested in plugins, is that there is one that even gives you more options. It's called Anima Toolkit, and if you turn that on, you get additional items in here, and I don't know if I'm going to have to restart to see it. Let me see. Yeah, I might have to. But it just gives you even more fixing options than what you have here, because you pretty much have just the fixing on the sides and here. But what the Anima plugin does is you can say, can you always maintain that circle at exactly 10 pixels from the edge? Like it gives you some really detailed controls that you can use. Now, if you're done with some of this stuff, and I just want to cover some things to make sure I've got the full gamut of like taking this from start to finish, and then I'll go back and I'll talk about some other things that I think are really interesting and helpful. But if I want to take this and give it to somebody, I can copy the CSS attributes. I can also copy the SVG code and then, you know, paste them someplace else. What I can also do is I can export these. And so if I choose that I want to file export this, the beautiful thing is that it lets me choose what I want to export. Maybe I just want to take something from here. In fact, let me make sure, just to make it simple. All right, I'm going to, yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to do something really simple. Export this, export selection. And you'll notice that in here, down in the lower right, I can add a prefix if I want, but I can say, can you export a 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times? Oops, let me go back to there. Can you export 1 time, 2 times, 3 times? Can you even, let me open this up a little bit. Can you even come in here and with this, I am going to send it out to iOS, Android, whatever format that you want. But when you choose share, you can even come in and say, I want to attach them to an email. An email comes up and they're already in there. So again, really quick, easy way. I just did 2. But a really quick, easy way to get your assets out when you're done as well. And of course, you can save the entire artboard out if you want. But I kind of like the saving the individual assets out too. I think it's really helpful. Okay, so coming back to this guy, we've created from scratch, the start to finish. We've brought it to preview, maybe gotten comments, come back, correct them, whatever. Have any of you guys used Sketch in the past? Do you find it, no? The ones who haven't, that's what I wanted. Do you find it kind of intuitive? Like if you used Illustrator, does it make sense? It's like pretty quick. It's pretty easy. Really great community, sharing information, making lots of plugins to work. But you do have other items here I just want you to be aware of. Like for instance, if I decide that I do want this fruit in a circle, just like Illustrator, you can select multiple items and you've got opportunities to mask things. And then, of course, I can double click and still reposition items within there. So a lot of the things that you're used to are there. Other things that I can do, if I have the artboard available, I can click on it, change the background really quickly, easily if I want. All of this stuff, super simple to do. I'm going to go under layer, actually let me go under, yeah. Other things that you can do, and again this might be with having, here I'm going to go under view for a moment. So if you go under view, these artboards are called canvases, or the whole thing is called a canvas. But I can come in and I can show rulers, and just like Illustrator, you can pull guides out. All the same things that you may be used to. You can show a grid. The interesting thing about the grid is that it shows you the grid specific to one artboard at a time. And of course, you can change the settings on that if you like. But that's a view that you can have off or on any item that you want. So you also have, well, there's your grid settings if you want to change it. You also have the opportunity to do layouts. So you can do both of these items. So you can be really precise in how you work. And as a default, all your pixels are aligned. So unlike Illustrator, where you might have to tell it not to do half a pixel or a quarter pixel, here they're going to be aligned as you work. Other things here as well, almost everything you need. So I've got this item here, and maybe I'm just going to take just the rectangle. I'm going to select it in the Layers panel. But you'll notice that I've got what are called borders here. So that would be the same thing as stroke in Illustrator, so you can change that inside, outside. You've got the option to have it change the transparency, and you even have all your blending modes. So if you're trying to create something that looks kind of like Google material type stuff, where you want the transparency showing, you can. And you can even do shadows. And again, after my last session on like things that you shouldn't do, like shadows on absolutely everything, unless you're doing it the Google material way, where you just have a subtle shadow, that can be helpful. But then again, other little things. I can take objects, and maybe I'm going to pretend that this is in the background of something, and let me just get Option Drag, a bunch of these. But if I were to take these items, let me go ahead and just take, in fact, let me make this easy. I'm going to go ahead and make a rectangle, cover it up, boom. So in here, you've got choices of either Gaussian blurring, motion blurring, zooming blurring, or even background blurring. So this color is a little bit dark, and let me pull the opacity down, but that's background blur, where it doesn't blur itself, but it gives me the opportunity to blur the background. So if I'm trying to show a modal or something like that, I can kind of make everything else transparent behind it, so you can see it only occurs wherever that object is. Okay, I'm trying to think. We've got library, symbols, textiles, all the things that make it go quickly and easily. I think I'm just about done here, so I want to make sure that you guys don't have any questions. Let me just mention one other thing. If you Google, I know it corrects me when I say it, but sorry, Google material, they're called sticker sheets. They have, if you search for Google material sticker sheets or Apple iOS sticker sheets, they will have them available for you in Photoshop, Illustrator, XD, and Sketch. And they're all the controls you could possibly need for iOS and Android. And then you can open them up in Sketch, make them a library, and if they're not symbols already, quickly make them symbols. But then you can, when you're working in Sketch, it'll just be a matter of you just inserting things and dragging and dropping them around, and opening them and edit it if you want. But I would say the first time you use Sketch is going to be maybe a little cumbersome. But as you start building the things that you use all the time, like your menus or your icons or anything that you use on a regular basis, it's going to become so streamlined that you're going to just quickly be able to put your stuff out and show your prototypes pretty quickly and easily. Does this make sense? I try to cram like what we do. This is a day's worth of training, like in 50 minutes. So I know I spoke really fast, but it looked like either you guys weren't paying attention at all or you totally got it. So, does anyone have any questions? Yes.
So like best practices, if you're doing, responsive, let's say low fidelity prototyping, do you do everything in one file?
You can, because if you go in and you create an artboard, there's actually one that's called Responsive Web, and it gives you all those different sizes. Okay. So I do, just because I like the option drag, and then I can just move them around within the same big page.
And you would use pages to sort of bundle?
You can, if it's big. Like if you're doing a simple app that has like 3 or 4 screens, you wouldn't need to. But yeah, if you're getting into something pretty massive, then organize maybe, like if they click on fruit, I'm going to have fruit on its own page or something. But
if you create like a series of basic views at different breakpoints and get in your patterns and your stickers, then you can just save the whole thing as a template and do new templates.
Yes, you can save it as a template. So I did not mention that, but you can save anything you create as a template, and it could have all your text styles in it, it could have all your symbols in it and everything, and then every time somebody opens that, so it could be, my Apple device template, every time I open it, it's unnamed, and then it forces you to save it as something else. So, yep, which is probably the best way, actually, getting that stuff. Yeah?
How far does the linking of symbols go? So, like, if you create a symbol and you open up a new page and put that symbol in there, save it, close that page out, and then you update the symbol, and when you open that back up, is that symbol been updated?
Yes.
So everywhere you have the symbol, it's propagated.
Yep. Genius.
Unless you specifically say
a detached from symbol.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
As long as you keep them in the symbol file.
Yeah.
In your reference.
Don't let it. Pull it out. Which you really would have no reason to do, but yeah.
I've been linking, like creating prototypes and linking using Envision Craft.
Yes,
I hadn't really explored it, doing it like right inside Sketch.
Because you couldn't do it before. It's new.
Yeah,
right. I do kind of remember hearing about that. What's sharing like? How do you like?
The share? You click on Cloud.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of an alternative to the Craft.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Craft is Envision.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Totally. Cool.
So,
I think, sorry.
Go ahead. No.
I was gonna say, I think if you set up the prototyping in Sketch and you sync to Envision with Craft, it will respect the linking that you've done in Sketch.
Cool.
Though.
Great.
Yeah.
That would be, that's good.
So before you'd have to go into Envision and do your
I was wondering
linking,
if you would have to do it like a second time to do it.
So the high level view here is that prior to, this current version, you could not link anything in Sketch together, okay? So you had to subscribe to Envision, or like I said, you can subscribe to Envision and not pay if you use any 3 prototypes. But you would do your linking there and your sharing of your prototype there. So those of you who've been working in Sketch for a while probably have not been using this feature because you're so used to doing it elsewhere. Yeah. But it's great now that you could do it here. Yeah.
Okay. I have a big problem with text styles, and I was wondering if you have a way of working through or around this. I haven't been able to find a way to get it to handle exceptions. Like if I have a paragraph that's styled with my like body copy text style, if I have like one word bolded in that paragraph.
Character style.
character style?
They don't exist.
Right, they don't exist in here.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I haven't checked the plugins yet to see if there's anything that supports, and I know Ruth, you're there. Have you seen anything that supports, like, that would be my first place to look.
Lists too.
Yeah, yeah.
What about lists?
Well, they have a bulleted list option,
Yeah.
but you can't set any. There's no settings
There's no
for your
tab.
bulleted list. You can't.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You
Like
can't
custom
adjust
bullets and
the
stuff. Yeah.
the padding or whatever. So
Yeah.
this is supposed to be a tool that's
Yeah.
getting us closer to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
why can't I kills me.
because.
I can't. So
And
I
you know
am
what?
creating bulleted list with individual
Yep.
If
piece of text to get the spacing right. 'Cause
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's-
So instead of going crazy over a lot of things, because it is relatively new,
Yeah.
I usually will go in and throw it up in Google, and then once I see it's in the forum, like 20 times that people
Yeah.
are complaining about it, it's like, okay, well, it just can't, and then I'll move
Yeah.
on to something
Yeah.
else. Or they'll suggest a plugin that will work.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So this is basically a prototyping tool. So what's the step before this exactly? Where it used to be maybe like a wireframe or something.
Could be.
What is
I
it?
mean, this is my steps. My steps would be sketching it, making sure it's okay, taking that into Balsamic, creating an interactive Balsamic mockup that's really quick. It might take me 45 minutes to an hour or a day if it's really complex. Make sure that's okay, because that's just black and white, no colors. I don't go to high fidelity until my Balsamic mockup, which is a great program. You might want to investigate if you don't have it. But I don't go to this stage because I don't want to be futzing around with typeface and size and color and how round my rounded corners are if somebody's going to come back and say that's not even the right information on that screen. You have to confirm, you have to be ready. Like, that's right before development.
So when you're working with like a team of people, if you are, then there's some kind of content document, and they're going to tell you, like, are they deciding, like, is...
We'll have that discussion later because that's like the whole process. Yeah, that would be,
I guess
you're
that-
coming to my UX class, all right? You'll get it there. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Yes,
Do you have experience in Freebie? I think you already said this at the beginning.
I'm sorry?
Experience with React, Sketch React?
no, I have not. I haven't played with that at all. Yeah, I don't even,
I've heard people talk about this plugin that you can add to Sketch to.
oh, it's a plugin.
Yep.
Okay. There's like 400
I
plugins,
think it was
so
on the,
I don't know, but I'll check it out now that you mentioned it. Yeah.
I think it was on the front page of that plugin site when you went to it.
Oh, it was? Okay.
So you could export your sketches as JSX objects.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So if you want to find out more about it, go to Manage Plugins and then click on Get Plugins, and apparently it's right here. So,
Yeah, copy as React component.
oh, okay. All right, components from Sketch with a keyboard shortcut. Okay. Yeah, something for everyone. Any other questions? Was this, oh, yeah.
I was just going to see if you wanted to mention the cloth.
That's right. Okay, why don't you, we're doing a Birds of the Feather down the hall?
I don't know where it is.
Okay,
Where
we should,
is it?
I think it's on the whiteboard, or there's a tablet out there that has it, but if you want to work on your projects, right? Is it
Or
like,
it's just, if you want to bring your computer to Sketch and just get your hands on it in it and have the two of us and whoever else who kind of know how to use it, go around and
yeah.
point these out.
So if you don't have it, download it, and then if you want to work on stuff and like try it out while there's somebody there to help you, we're going to be there, so.
Yeah. And I have, for the session I did, I have a design that if you want to get your hands in it and try and see how things are set up, that's something that you can download if you don't have anything of your own.
Excellent.
So that's during the last session. Already.
Excellent. So you guys got it? You can use it now? Okay, you're all good? Excellent, okay.
I mean, you could, like she said, I think
Once you get it, it's
programs like Balsamic, what's the other one I use? Actually,
That even Axure is too complex though,
It is.
That's-
They're nice because they're set up like for wireframes. So you,
but they're
I
not
think
quick.
you can pull a
Axure's-
field right in. Like you're
Yes.
in a wireframe looking field, like pull it right in. It's already in.
But that's Balsamic does that too.
It does.
But it looks sketchy.
Yeah.
And the issue I have with Axure, even though I absolutely love Axure, is
Yeah.
you can get in the weeds too fast
You
because of
can.
all the JavaScript. And,
Yeah, and I think from like